by Lainey Wu here, and I'm Lainey Wu. I'm inviting you to join me for my podcast, Reiki Rocks and Reflections, where I share how I use Reiki and crystal healing to bring illumination, perspective, and alignment to everyday life. I can't wait for us to chat.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Reiki Rocks and Reflections, the podcast where we explore ancient healing practices and their modern applications to bring illumination, perspective, and alignment to our everyday life. I am your host, Lainey Wu, and I'm so excited I can hardly stay in my seat. We have a special treat for you today. We have a guest on this episode, Arin Dosch. I said it right? Dosch? Am I saying
Dosch.
Dosch.
It's Dosch, yeah.
Arin Dosch of Astrology with Arin is here with us today. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy that you agreed to do this. So let me officially introduce Arin to you all. Arin is a consultant astrologer specializing in traditional and Hellenistic techniques with a practice rooted in clarity, integrity, and devotion. She began her studies in 2017 and has been a tutor with Nightlight Astrology since 2021. Her work is deeply informed by her time studying with both Elenbaas and Coppock, whose approaches continue to shape her philosophical and technical framework. Arin offers natal, horary, and electional astrology with a particular focus on predictive timing, remediation, and meaningful client support. Her approach blends ancient methods with contemporary insight, providing guidance that's both spiritually attuned and grounded in the reality of lived experience. With a professional background in counseling and social work, Arin brings a therapeutic sensibility to her readings. Her goal is simple: to help clients meet their lives with more self-understanding, more sovereignty, and more soul. Welcome, Arin. Yay.
Thanks so much
Welcome.
for having me, Lainey. I'm
Yes.
excited to be here and talk to you
Yes.
today.
Definitely. I have my notes, like I'm ready to get down to it. So I understand that today we'll be talking about some of the details from my chart and how that relates to the upcoming forecast. You're going to give us some details on some of those big movements that are going on, as well as some crystal suggestions for protection and grounding, and also suggestions for all 12 Zodiacs. So I'm so excited. Wow.
Me too. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yes. So I know you have your beverage. I have my beverage. I hope everyone has their beverage. And we're ready to dig in with Arin telling us like what is our current climate, what kind of things can we look forward to, and how can we prepare, and all the deets.
Yeah. Well, you shared with me, Lainey, that this episode that you're planning to release it around the sort of early August. And I think it'll be right around or right before perhaps the full moon in Aquarius, which is August 9th. And I don't know if you're able to let me share the chart. If I can, I'd love to.
Yeah. Hold on one second.
And then we can look at it together.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. All right. So, well, let's start with the chart of this a full moon. So this is August 9th, and I have it set for my location. But, generally, wherever you are, the full moon will be around this time, adjust by time zone, right on August 9th. And this is a very dynamic full moon. The nature of a full moon is that the moon is opposite the sun. So we see that here in the chart. The moon is at about 17 degrees of Aquarius. The sun is opposite in Leo at about 17 degrees of Leo. We have a lot going on in the sky right now. As you can see, at the same time as this full moon, we have Mars has just entered his detriment in Libra. So this is a Venus ruled sign that Mars doesn't really like being in very much, right? Mars, his home, or one of his homes, is the sign of Aries up here where Saturn is, and he is facing opposite Saturn. Saturn is what we call in his fall in Aries, meaning he does not like being in Aries very much at all. He would much rather be down here in Libra in his exaltation. So these two planets are both in difficult situations and under each other's power, which implies to me that there perhaps is a bit of a standoff here or a bit of a power struggle going on. And with an opposition, these planets have no option really other than to negotiate. So what I would suggest for all of us is that during this time that we do prepare to negotiate, there are some things that are totally worth standing your ground on, as we all know. And then there are other things where we have to negotiate in order to get what we want. So this might be a time where we need to prepare to do that in a general sense. I do feel really hopeful, though, that it's possible to achieve good outcomes during this time because we do have Venus moving to conjoin an exalted Jupiter here right around the middle of Cancer at the same time. And we have, this is Mercury, and he's red here. His number is red at about 5 degrees of Leo because he's retrograde, but he's stationing to turn direct. If I go forward a couple of days, you see he's turned white. So that means he's stationed direct. So there's something going on here where we are coming to a fresh understanding or better clarity. And this looks quite harmonious here with Venus conjoining Jupiter, despite the tension. So that makes me think that this can be a really constructive full moon time. To come to an understanding if that's something that we're seeing necessary in our lives.
Wow.
And then I think the other really big piece of the astrology, of the current astrology of 2025, is we've seen all of the outer planets recently change signs. So over between 2023 and now, this is Pluto, and he's been dancing back and forth between Capricorn, where he was from 2008 until here, like 2023, 2024. And so he's just changed signs and he's now sort of permanently in Aquarius, permanently as far as we're concerned for like the next 20 years. So he's in Aquarius. Then we also have Neptune just moved into Aries for the first time in over 100 years.
Oh.
At the end of March. So none of us have ever seen Neptune in Aries before. No one living has. Last time he was in Aries was around the Civil War time.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we have, this is Uranus, and he's just moved into Gemini. I mean, just here in July, for the first time since about World War II. So we have these huge planetary shifts and we can see it all around us, right? And so much is changing. This is a time of great change. And it's a complicated and interesting time. And we see that reflected in the world around us. We also have Saturn, who's on a 30-year cycle. So he just came into Aries too, for the first time in about 30 years, but since about 1999. Okay. So this is really big news, and we are seeing this huge shift this summer, June, July, August. All of these planets are going to be in their new signs where they're going to be through about 2032. In about 2033, Uranus will then move into Cancer. So this is, at least an 8-year arc of our lives, potentially, very influenced by these huge changes in astrology. And we are seeing the first glimpses of it this summer. What's going to happen in the fall is actually Saturn and Neptune are going to go back. They're going to retrograde. They're already red. They're going to retrograde back into Pisces. And then Uranus is going to retrograde back into Taurus. And then next spring, 2026, February or so, everything is going to come back then as they are now through 2032. So what all this means in plain English, you've probably noticed that you're working on something in some area of your life this summer that's really fresh and new. You're potentially excited about it, though you may be nervous and feel like, maybe a little imposter syndrome, or like, do I really know what I'm doing? Is this who I can be in the world? Things like that. You may pull back, all of us, in the fall and winter, which is kind of a natural hibernation time anyway, reassess and think about what worked and what didn't work with what you were working on and trying this summer. And then in the spring, be prepared to push yourself back out there again in 2026. And it's more for real this time, for keeps, because these planets are going to stay in their new signs, like I said, until 2032, 2033. And then we were going to talk crystals by zodiac sign too.
Yeah.
And maybe when we go through that, I think there's a couple of sort of mercurial crystals. Mercurial. Some sort of Mercury related crystals that I think might be really helpful during this time too, while Mercury finishes up his retrograde. So even he's stationing direct, very shortly after this full moon, but then he's got to go back over all that territory that he retrograded back. So I feel like we're always, it's like, yay, he's direct, and it's like, yay, he's actually moving forward at a normal rate of speed. But then until we get past all those degrees that he retrograded, that whole story is not quite over.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we dive into that? Should we start talking? All right. Yeah, I have some ideas. And then I want to hear yours too.
Okay.
And disclosure, first of all, I think, these are just suggestions. And I would say, listen for any placement you want, your sun, your moon, your rising sign, if you know it. And like you said, I think sometimes we're just naturally attracted to a crystal because for whatever reason, it's the right medicine for us at that point in our life. So don't let me steer anybody away from a crystal they're attached to or attracted to, I should say. That's my little disclosure at the beginning. Okay, so I think let's go in zodiacal order, if that's okay. So first, Aries. I chose carnelian. This is the carnelian heart that I have. I see carnelian as ruled by Mars. So I think that it fits Aries' fiery nature really well. They like to feel very motivated, and they have a lot of vitality. It encourages courage, creativity, and personal power, and grounds impulsive energy into sustainable action. So, you can take your energy and actually put it into action and confidence and passion. So that's why I picked it for Aries.
I love that. Yeah.
What do you think, Lainey?
I think that's awesome for Aries. As a matter of fact, when I think about encompassing those Aries traits, like how they're just courageous and brave, and if anything, I think about carnelian. And I need some of that today. I also like red jasper. I think is another fiery stone. And it's funny because look what I just have on my desk. A red jasper heart.
A red jasper heart.
Isn't that funny? We did not plan this, guys. We did not.
No, we didn't.
Isn't that cute?
That's too cute.
Yeah. So I think red jasper is another stone like carnelian where you get that fiery energy, but it also brings you kind of a groundedness where you know where to kind of focus it, and it's not just everywhere,
Yes.
So yeah. Definitely agree.
All right, awesome. I love it.
Love it too.
Okay. Next one, Taurus.
Okay.
So for Taurus, I picked rose quartz.
Yeah.
This is a big one. I love this piece of rose quartz. So I really associate rose quartz with Venus and with the heart chakra. It encourages unconditional love towards others and yourself, and emotional security, helps release stubbornness, resistance to change, and really opens that heart chakra. Emphasizes Taurus's, I think, earthy and sensual
Yeah.
nature too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think so too. And I think that rose quartz is such a beautiful stone. And I think that people always look at it as like a stone that for people who are looking for love. But I think that you kind of miss part of that with that, because I think it's a dual component. It helps you with self-love, and it helps you when you're when you want to find love in others and things like that. But that self-love component, you can't overlook that. That's so, appropriate. And then when I think about Taurus energy, they love themselves in a way that like we could all learn from, in terms of making sure that they get the best of everything. And like we could all learn that. And I think that that's a great stone to embody that energy. Yeah, I think so. I would agree. Rose
Yeah,
quartz. Yeah.
my bestie is a Taurus rising, and she
Oh,
always says, "You got to treat yourself."
treat yourself. Yes.
So
I
if I'm
love
like,
that.
sometimes when I'm like looking at something that I don't need but I want, I hear her voice in my head, and I think, "Yep, I gotta treat myself sometimes."
I love that.
Tauruses are great at that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. And they teach us that as well,
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I think about a pink Kanzanite is also it's a pink stone, but it's more of like a lavender pink, and I don't have it up here, but it deals with the same type of self-love and nurturing, like from a maternal perspective, but what you would show yourself as well. So another one that you could use for that Taurus energy of love and nothing but the best.
Yes.
Love that. This is so
Yes,
much
Tauruses are
fun.
great for that too, aren't
Yeah.
they? Like you like need a new face cream or whatever, ask the Taurus because
Ask the Taurus.
they will
Yeah,
know.
they know.
All
Yeah.
right. So moving on.
Okay.
So Gemini, your rising
Mm.
sign, lady,
Gemini.
and
Yay.
I recommended blue lace agate.
That's perfect.
I
Yes.
love this one. I would say that it calms mental overactivity and scattered thoughts. It encourages gentle, clear, and compassionate communication, supports nervous system balance and emotional calm, and aligns with the throat chakra, helping Gemini
Mhm.
express their complex thoughts with grace and clarity. So I think this is one that I think is really good for this time in
Yeah.
general for
Yeah.
everybody. Um, and that I'm actually really personally attracted to too, even though I have 0 planets in Gemini. But I this is always my companion, like for this sort of thing, when I'm going
Yeah.
to do any sort of public speaking,
Yeah.
to sort
Yeah.
of settle my nerves. I usually have this guy in my pocket or nearby.
Yeah. I definitely love blue lace agate. It has such a kind of like a floaty type of energy that calms you. And it's also, we already said it helps your throat chakra. So it kind of helps you feel that floatiness when you're talking, so you don't kind of focus on you being nervous or what else am I supposed to say. And so I really like blue lace agate for that as well. Um, any blue stone. And it's funny because before I found out that I was rising Gemini, I would say I don't really like to talk. Like, I don't really like to do. And then I found that out, and I'm like, okay, well, you have to bring that back and edit that and say something differently. But definitely blue lace agate, and one of my favorite blue stones is sodalite, and it does most, and then this is a sodalite too. It does much of the same thing in terms of helping you be able to communicate effectively and things like that. And for me, it kind of bridges what I say or what I think with what I say so that it comes out appropriate. So I won't say something before I think about it, kind of thing. So sodalite, but blue lace agate is also beautiful. I love it.
Yes. I love sodalite too. Yeah,
Yeah.
very calming.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I don't personally have high blood pressure, but when you feel like, ah,
Yeah.
sodalite can be your best friend.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Agreed. All right, let's move on. Cancer.
Cancer.
So Cancer ruled by the moon, and I chose Rainbow Moonstone.
Yes.
So this one's just a little one. Actually, the white bracelet is also Rainbow Moonstone.
I know how
Um,
you so
you
too. That's
moonstone
so
onto perfect.
funny.
Is a beautiful stone. So I said
Yeah.
it mirrors Cancer's emotional tides and intuitive nature. It enhances emotional receptivity and inner knowing. It protects against emotional overwhelm and psychic drain. And
Mhm.
it really resonates with the lunar feminine energy, making it a natural fit for Cancer
Yeah.
as a moon child, lunar
Yeah.
as they are.
Definitely. I like rainbow moonstone. Well, moonstone is pretty awesome all in itself. But the rainbow moonstone I really like because it does all those things that you just listed, but it also helps you when you're in a partnership or a relationship to kind of enhance whatever skills that you need to have that successfully. It'll enhance those as well. So with your communication, when it comes to talking to your partner or your husband or your wife or whatever. So I really like rainbow moonstone for that as well. And I was going to say moonstone too. So, and I love moonstone because you would think that because it regulates your emotions that somehow would bring your emotions down. But I really don't feel like it does that. I feel like it puts your emotions at a frequency where you can handle it, like it's balanced. Doesn't bring them down, but just puts them in a way where you can handle it. And then you can focus on, gearing those emotions where you need them. Because emotions can be, even negative
Mhm.
emotions can be used positively if you focus them the right way. So that's what I feel like
Right.
Moonstone does.
Yeah. It's just like
Yeah,
that emotional regulation piece.
yeah, yeah.
What you were talking about with like the communicating, with others and with partnering, it makes me think of like the mirroring nature of
Yes.
Moonstone and of the moon herself,
Mhm.
right? She doesn't create her own light. She reflects the
Yeah,
light of the sun. She's a
yes.
mirror.
A mirror.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we do
Reflection.
to one another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in
That's so,
relationship.
oh, that's deep. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you learn so much about yourself when you're in a relationship, you know? So
Mhm.
yeah, that's
I have
beautiful.
Libra rising, so yes, that's
Yeah.
this is how I learn about myself is through mirroring others and being in
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
100%, yes.
100%. Yeah. This is
All
so much
right.
fun.
It is. All right, next up is Leo, ruled by the
Ooh,
sun. So I went with the natural once again and picked sunstone.
Sunstone. Yay.
I absolutely love Sunstone. So I say it amplifies Leo's radiant energy and natural confidence, encourages joy, generosity, and authentic self-expression, helps shift focus from ego-driven validation to heart-centered leadership, and activates the solar plexus and sacral chakras, enhancing personal power and playful creativity.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I have Sun in Leo, at 29 degrees, Leo actually conjunct the fixed star Regulus, if anybody's a fixed star geek. And I also have Mercury in Leo, and the North Node
Wow.
and the Moon. And I love Sunstone. I feel like it just makes me feel joyful.
Yeah.
I
It is.
just love
It's a very
it.
nice stone. I love it. I mean,
I
how
love
can
this
you
stone in
not?
particular, like
Yeah.
fits in your hand, in your pocket perfectly. Yeah, so it's my pocket buddy a lot of the time.
Oh, that's so cool. How can you not love a crystal that reflects sun, that reflects the energy
Yes.
of the sun?
As it like
How
sparkles, it literally sparkles in the sun.
it
Yeah,
does. And
so
hence
beautiful.
everyone loves a Leo. Something good. Um, definitely love sunstone. I love it. For the energy, and I think it's a perfect stone for Leo because the way that a Leo can just influence just by walking into a room, if they could be like a thermostat and set the energy, even after, be the last person into a room and set a thermostat or reset it. So you got to love them for that. I think I love them for that. You all for that. A favorite Leo stone of mine is pyrite. And they call that like fool's gold because it looks like gold, real gold, but it's not. But I love the pyrite because of kind of like the dual thing that it does. It's really pretty, so it brings you in, but it's also an extremely protective stone. And so if you know any Leos, they are so friendly and they will give you the shirt off of their back. But if you cross them or someone that they care about, you will see the difference. So I think that this stone kind of portrays that, in that it's very beautiful and alluring even. It brings you in, but don't get it twisted. It's protective too. It will get you. It will get right with you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I might need more pyrite in my life.
I
Yeah.
know. It's an artist stone. It does great for like motivating you and stuff like that. And you can put it anywhere. I like to put it like in the corners of my desk, even in a drawer, hidden, and let it do its work. But yeah, pyrite.
And it's quite affordable, isn't it? Too. So it's one of those that you could get like, a number of small ones and tuck them around.
Tuck them. Like I just bought a bag with like little ones. And that was like what, $10? And I have enough. I can put them anywhere, in my drawers here, drawers at work,
Give them to people that you run into that need them. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. Drop them in your car, wherever you need them. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. I need more pyrite in my life. Love that. Okay. Next up is Virgo. And Lainey, I just saw a clip of you talking about, how do you pronounce it? Is it Amazonite?
Yeah, I say Amazonite. Yes. Love it.
This is a stone I absolutely love. It's one that the first time I saw it, I was just immediately attracted to it. Just immediately. I thought I have to have that stone. And I have it in a number of different sort of mediums, some wearable. And this is obviously this is a pocket buddy.
Yeah.
But I said it soothes mental overwork and the perfectionistic tendencies that are natural to the sign of Virgo. It balances logic and intuition for clear, honest expression, promotes harmony in relationships and emotional equilibrium. Again, that emotional sort of regulation piece, and supports the throat and heart chakras, helping Virgo communicate kindly and balance critique with compassion.
Yeah.
Would you agree? What do you think?
I would so agree. Yeah. And I would definitely agree. I'm like going through Virgo. Because to me, Amazonite brings that emotional balance, but it also helps you get organized, get things on. And if you think about a Virgo, they're like, but sometimes, it may not come out nicely. Sometimes it might be a little critical, sometimes. And so I think the Amazonite would help with that, because it does help you have more nurturing in what you say, more compassion for yourself and others, So I think that's a perfect stone. And I love it too. I have several Amazonite stones, and all different.
Actually, this one is too, and this one's like multi-colors. It does come in some color variations. It's a beautiful stone, and I was so attracted to it. And I think you're right. And no shade to Virgos. I have 2 planets in Virgo myself, and maybe that's why I'm so attracted to it, or why I relate, or I kind of put the two together. But I feel like it sort of blends the communication and the emotional equilibrium piece.
It does.
I feel like it allows me to speak my truth, while also being kind and considerate to others. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that. Yeah. And no disrespect to Virgos, because again, like, one thing we can learn from them is attaining goals, because they're like Capricorn and them are like neck and neck in terms of they got a goal, they're going to get to it.
Yeah.
So I will glean from that gladly. So yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, you and I both have Saturn in Virgo, actually.
Yes,
So yes, no shade to Virgo at
no
all.
shade,
We
no
we
shade.
kind of we are one in our own way. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next is my rising sign Libra. And
Yay.
um this is not the best specimen. I don't know that you're going to be able to see terribly well, but I picked moss agate. I
Oh
always think
yeah.
that the prettiest moss agates are the ones that you can kind of see through, and this one you can on the edges, but that's
Hmm.
probably about it. But I said it grounds Libra's search for harmony, beauty, and balance. It encourages steady growth, practical discernment, supports heart-led collaboration and emotional stability, and connects Ari Libra with the grounding forces of nature, fostering sustainable peace and balance.
Yes,
Yes, I always think of nature. I think it's a beautiful stone,
it is.
especially the pieces that you can see through, and then you can see like the inclusions.
Yeah, I love that too. Green is one of my favorite colors. Well, as you can see.
Yeah, heart
Green's
chakra color, right?
right, right. And so I love to work with green stones, and moss agate is one of those stones I love to work with. It's very harmonizing, I feel, and it works with your heart chakra, but it's also, I feel like, a very much warrior stone, so it
Mm,
is not soft at all.
yeah,
It's nurturing, it takes care of your heart, but it's not soft at all in terms of helping you get in touch with that warrior energy when you want to bring something to fruition or goal or things like that. So I think that's an excellent stone for Libra. One of my favorite stones for Libra too is lapis lazuli, and I used to
hmm
have one and I don't have it in my pocket today. But it's another blue stone, and I think it does a little bit of what you were saying that moss agate does. It kind of blends that cerebralness that Libras have sometimes with
hmm
the communication of it, because they will. And I was married to one. I was married, so I can say this. Um, they can be in their head thinking all of these things, but they don't communicate, so we don't know. So I think that helps to bridge. Both of these stones help to bridge that, so that they feel grounded and open enough to communicate some of the things that they're thinking, so we can all share that. So yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think what you said about that it's nurturing but like strong. Well,
yeah,
that reminds me of like that's kind of how nature is itself,
yeah,
right? And it like
yes,
that connection with nature, it's like, the baby fawn and the hurricane both, like,
right,
um,
exactly.
but I do think that we Librans can so benefit from that sort of energy. Of course, Taurus and Libra are the two Venus ruled signs, and being the air sign, air is so social. Both Gemini
Hmm.
and Libra are air, and um, there's a lot of words. It's all very social, but we need that grounding as an
Yeah,
air sign. But we also can be people pleasing, um,
that too. Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
yes, and then like I said, like with the Amazonite, like we need support sometimes in practice and
Yeah.
standing in our truth and saying, verbalizing our needs,
Verbalizing.
verbalizing our
Yeah.
boundaries, verbalizing
Yeah.
where we stand. Because it's like, oh, if it's going to upset somebody, then I can't do it.
Yeah.
So maybe moss agate can,
Help
yeah,
that.
help with
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. I
yeah,
think they
just made me,
both do that. Yeah. So
yeah.
great. Yeah.
I love
Great point.
lapis too. I have
Yeah.
several pieces in the other room.
Yeah. And I think so. Moss agate is courageous. It has that bravery, like energy
Yeah.
element that I love. That I love. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Good
With the
point.
heart chakra too. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It is
All
beautiful.
right,
All right. So
Scorpio. We got to give Scorpio a little bit of love here.
Scorpio.
And for Scorpio, I did go ahead and pick the stone that we've been talking about this whole episode,
Oh
black
wow. Black
tourmaline.
tourmaline.
This
Yes.
is, I love this piece of black tourmaline. I think the striations are so
Beautiful.
cool. And that one's
Hmm.
raw, obviously. So I said it shields Scorpio's sensitive emotional depths from negative influences. It offers strong energetic protection and boundary
Mhm.
reinforcement, helps transmute intense emotions into clarity and grounded focus, and grounds Scorpio's deep waters through the root chakra, providing psychic protection and stability that I think Scorpios can
Yeah.
really benefit from. So even though they're a Mars ruled sign, by
Mhm.
traditional astrology anyway, some modern astrologers would say Pluto, but in traditional astrology we would say Mars. I really picked a Saturn stone for them because I think that is just an ongoing theme with Scorpio.
Mhm.
There is a lot of emotional sensitivity and
Yeah.
vulnerability, um, and they can really benefit, I think, from that grounding and protection,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
boundary, helping them feel more safe. What do you think?
Yeah. I think so too. I think so too. Um, I love black tourmaline so
Yeah.
overwhelmingly, but not overwhelmingly, but just like so tremendously, I guess that's a better word, grounding. And so I think that that is a great element. But what you said also, um, that emotional sensitivity, it will provide protection from that. So I think I love black tourmaline for a Scorpio. Also, I think I would pair it with the selenite, just because the selenite is going to amplify um, whatever like good stuff that's already going on, but at the same time, it's going to clear that black tourmaline. So all of the stuff that the black tourmaline is clearing from them can be cleared with the selenite. And then I think that in terms of like a communication stone for Scorpio, I think I would suggest aquamarine. It's
Mm.
another beautiful blue stone, as you know, but I think that it offers that grounding where they would feel open to communicate some of those emotions that they may not have wanted to expose before that might need to come out, you know? So yeah, that's
Yeah.
another one. Yeah. What do you think?
Love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that aquamarine, I would call that another Saturn ruled stone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really interesting too. There's a good boundary provider. And then I love the idea of the selenite with the black tourmaline, like we talked about, so important
Mm-hmm.
to clear and cleanse your
Yeah.
darker stones so they don't sort of get gunked up with energy. But I also think of selenite as well, it's right in the name, isn't it, Selene? The moon. It's
Yeah.
a lunar
Yeah.
stone. And Scorpio is the sign where the moon finds its fall. So the moon,
Mm,
because it is such a sort of raw, sensitive sign, and the
yeah.
moon, is our body and our emotions, and it's very tender. So it has a hard time in Scorpio. So I just feel like bringing the two together with proper
Yeah.
boundaries is just really beautiful and seems
Yeah.
really nurturing.
Yeah.
And to Scorpio
Yeah.
in a way. I love
Yeah.
that.
I love it too. Wow. So good.
All right. Okay, onward. Sagittarius, your sun sign.
Sagittarius.
And for Sagittarius, I picked, I'm not sure if you're going to get the flash off of it, but I picked Labradorite.
Love it.
Oh, there it is. There it is. You could get to see it.
Yes.
Um, so I said it enhances Sagittarius' love of exploration and spiritual growth. It awakens intuition, supports visionary thinking, protects the aura during both physical and metaphysical journeys, and reflects hidden magic and possibilities, aligning the Sagittarius as an adventurous spirit. What do you what do you
Yes.
think about that?
Look, I think yes.
Well, that's a beautiful one. That's
I
a
know. I
beautiful
love
one.
it. I only wear it on special occasions, so I wore it for you.
Love
But
it.
Labradorite, I know we've said a lot of favorite stones, but it's awesome. And it is one of my favorite stones. So yeah, I totally agree with that. It just kind of it makes great company for us because we have so adventurous, so like fly by the seat of our pants. So this kind of allows us to do that, but then allows us to know that we're still grounded to earth too. Oh, okay, I can't totally go up in the sky. So I love that about the Labradorite. And I would also say I would probably pair it with a black tourmaline, something that's really, really grounded for myself
Mhm. Mhm.
explicitly, because I know how I can be just in the air. So like a black tourmaline or hematite that really instills that grounding for me. And so that I can still be out in the clouds, but I still know that I'm still connected to earth. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tethers you to earth,
Feathers.
sort of.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you have the fire sun and then the air rising. Like we were
Yeah.
talking about, you're a lot of fire and air. And, the air sort of feeds the fire, which is great,
Yeah.
but it can, just sort of, fly off or burn out
Yeah.
of control almost.
Yeah.
Yes. The earth is sort of what you need to tether you. So,
Yeah.
um, obviously, yes, like life has already taught you that, but we we could recommend that for anybody with a lot of fire and
Yeah.
air in their chart.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, moving on, Capricorn.
Capricorn.
So for Capricorn, and I brought a couple of examples. I picked garnet,
Yes.
and this is a raw garnet. And then I actually borrowed it from my son. It's a little cat.
Oh, that's cute.
He's actually Capricorn rising, and I had gotten him this one, and he loves cats. And I was like, oh, well, I don't have a lot of garnets other than this raw one, so let me borrow it. Um, but I said garnet recharges Capricorn's stamina and resilience.
Mhm.
It encourages passionate commitment to goals beyond duty alone. It balances practical ambition with grounded vitality,
Mhm.
and works with the root and heart chakras to energize Capricorn while helping them follow their heart's desires. I think Capricorn sometimes can be so driven and
Mhm.
ambitious and duty bound,
Yeah.
that they also need to reconnect with, their true heart desire to make
Yeah.
sure that is what's driving all of their ambition.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. I agree. At garnet, I have a little garnet on. I think it's an awesome how did you say Saturn, is it another Saturn stone? I forgot.
I would call it another
Yeah, I
Saturn ruled
would
stone. Yeah.
too.
Hmm.
Because it provides such a sense of grounding, and that makes sense
Hmm.
what you just explained for Capricorn, because they can get too focused on what they're trying to do and get lose track of their tetheredness. So I think that's a great stone for Capricorn, and I love garnet as a grounding stone. It's very grounding, and it's also another great relationship stone, because that helps you remain grounded in your relationship and grounded to who you are individualistically, so that when you get with somebody else in a collective type of thing, you don't lose who you are. So yeah, same kind of thing, but in a relationship.
Mm,
Yeah, I love that.
beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, I do like garnet quite a lot. And I think, because it is a red stone, and I think of it being as a little bit fiery, but
Yeah.
very grounding, like you said. It's like fire and
Yeah.
earth. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Mixed. Yeah.
that's Capricorns.
Yeah. Like a brown and a red mixed together, you know? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, Aquarius. So for Aquarius, I picked one you already mentioned, which is another Saturn ruled sign, aquamarine.
Yay.
So I said it soothes the mental overstimulation and emotional detachment that's so common to the sign of Aquarius. It encourages, because Aquarius, of course, is the other air sign besides
Hmm.
Gemini and Libra, and Aquarius. It encourages clarity, honesty, and aligned communication, helps balance independence with emotional openness, and activates the throat chakra, supporting Aquarius in expressing truth with compassion.
Yeah.
And kind of like what you were saying for Scorpio too, the communication
Hmm.
piece,
Yeah.
with aquamarine. It's like boundaries and communication, right?
Yeah. That's funny, because I was just getting ready to say that. So yeah, we're still aligned. um, yeah, it's the same thing in terms of what we had said before. In a relationship, it can help you be able to speak up about what you need in a situation where you're in a partnership, which is important. So I love aquamarine. It's another beautiful blue stone.
It is, yeah.
It is.
It doesn't hurt at all, but it's just very attractive.
Yeah, it definitely is.
All right.
All
And
right.
last but absolutely never, ever, ever least, Pisces.
Pisces.
I picked, and I brought the big one over here. I picked
Oh, wow.
amethyst.
Beautiful.
Isn't that? Oh, I just dropped a piece on my
Gorgeous.
laptop. But yeah, that's why I had to bring this one over here because I have several amethysts, but this one, of course, is the most beautiful one I think I have. I said it anchors Pisces' spiritual and emotional sensitivity, enhances intuition and clarity while maintaining energetic boundaries, supports dream work, meditation. I actually keep that one on
Yeah.
my nightstand right by my head and when I sleep.
Yeah.
Meditation and emotional resilience works with the crown chakra, helping Pisces access higher wisdom while still staying grounded in reality. What do you
Yeah.
think? They might float away though with a little too much.
Well,
Yeah.
no, because I do think amethyst is a great stone for Pisces because Pisces are dreamers. They have these big ideas, and I think that the energy that amethyst brings will allow them to kind of sail off to do those kind of things. But I do think that they may need a grounding stone, like one of the ones we talked about. We love black tourmaline, or a hematite,
Mhm.
or even a moss agate that we talked about would
Mm.
be good for
Mhm.
grounding for Pisces. Um, my brother is
Yeah, I love
Pisces.
that because
Yeah,
yeah, Pisces, yeah, the nature connection too, I think
right.
is beautiful for Pisces too. Yeah.
Yeah. My brother's Pisces, and one of the stones I gave him that he really loves, and he continues to ask me for more, is opalite. And I was like, "You like this stone?" He's like, "Yes, I love it. I love it." And he has like a necklace, a charm that he wears every day. And I really believe that the opalite provides some of that grounding for him, but also um, a confidence I think that he may not have encountered before, so that he feels safe enough to share how he feels. Maybe those emotions, like we talked about with the Scorpio, those
Hmm.
emotions he may not feel comfortable sharing. I feel like the Obalite puts him at a frequency where he feels open enough to examine those things with people. So I think that's important too with the Pisces. But yeah, they definitely are dreamers. So they need an energy to fly off of. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, my son is a Pisces. He has a
Oh.
stellium is what we call in astrology. He has I call it a Pisces pile up. He has just a bunch of planets in Pisces. And he is such a dreamer, but sometimes he does sort of sail off, into
Yeah.
his own little world. So yeah, absolutely. I think it depends what else you have going on in your chart,
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
your sort of temperament is.
Mhm.
Otherwise, which you can usually see it in a person's chart. But yeah, if there's a lack of earth or whatever, definitely also ground, also those grounding stones. I
Yeah.
feel like it's hard to go wrong with those.
I
They're so good for
know.
all of us, especially right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Oh my God.
So if it's okay with you, Lainey, I'd like to share your chart and we can look at these transits around your chart
Okay.
and I can kind of show how you might think about it affecting your personal life on the personal
Okay.
level. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna flop these back over. Okay, so here we have your chart, Lainey. You
Okay.
have Gemini rising, which is lovely, ruled by Mercury there. You see, your natal Mercury is actually retrograde in Capricorn in the eighth house, which is interesting. You
Mhm.
have this beautiful Venus conjunct Neptune, and the sun is here too in Sagittarius in the seventh house. Probably very concerned with other people, seventh house relationships. I would guess relationships are important in your life, which is lovely. And then you also have the moon. I want to note your moon in Aquarius up here. This is the midheaven, so this is the highest point in the sky. So that means at like high noon, when the sun is at its highest point, That's this mathematical point, the midheaven there. So your moon is very high and really in a public place in your chart. And it's here in the ninth house. In Hellenistic astrology, we call that the house, the place of God, actually. And so it's a very spiritual house. It's also of, the higher mind, higher learning, foreign travel, anything that like broadens your horizons and broadens the mind. Also astrology, Reiki, anything like that that's a spiritual practice, is very ninth house. It's also the house of publishing. So it's the house of, and it's a house of teaching. So it's a house of putting your message out into the world also, right?
Oh.
So very interesting there with that area Aquarius. I think that's most of the things that I wanted to point out before we look at the transits around your chart here. So if we look at, let's go back to the full moon on August 9th. Look at that, lady. This full moon is nearly conjunct your natal moon, right? And so the moon is really back to, it's a natal return. It's a lunar return of your natal placement. So that really emphasizes your moon here. It's also interesting to note that your moon or the moon rules your second house of Cancer, where you have a natal Jupiter. The second house is usually our finances, our income, our assets, those things that support us. So this is really lovely. It implies lovely things for your finances and your income. This Venus-Jupiter conjunction and Jupiter return in an exalted position in your second house. So that's very nice. And then we see the 11th house is where you have Aries, and that's where this Saturn-Neptune conjunction is happening up here. The 11th house is a place of like-minded groups of people. So we say friends, but also professional clubs or professional associations. And it's our audience. I always like to use Kurt Cobain as an example for the 11th house because he has an exalted Jupiter in the 11th house. And his audience absolutely was 100% devoted to him, right? Still is, even, that he's been deceased for years. So that's sort of the 11th house, your audience, your benefactors, the people who see your work and promote it in the world. So it's a very positive place. We call it the place of good spirit in Hellenistic astrology. And then, of course, you have Uranus coming into your first house. Your first house is you, yourself, your body, your sort of avatar or expression in the world, right? And then again, we have Pluto in Aquarius, and this again is your ninth house, the place of God and spirituality and publishing. And then the third house is where the sun is, of course, since it's opposite the moon, and that's Leo. In your chart, it's the third house. And the third house is very much what we're doing now. It's very much about communication, especially in sort of like short bursts or the third house, I would put podcasts, periodicals, blogs, things like that. And the ninth house is more, like formal classes, teaching, publishing, books, and things like that. So what I see, to wrap this all up, what I see this hitting your chart, when I look at this configuration, which some astrologers are calling a basket, and I think you can kind of see that. This is a trine between Pluto and Uranus forming. They're both in air signs. And then they're both making a sextile, which is a 60-degree aspect. The trine is 120 degrees. They're both very harmonious aspects. The trine, we say it's of the nature of Jupiter, which is the greater benefic. And the sextile, we say it's of the nature of Venus, which is the lesser benefic. So they're both benefic aspects, good aspects, if we think about it that way, very flowing, easy. And if you think about a basket, it sort of holds a thing. And I think in its most positive expression, these outer planets can do that it can really be almost obstetric in nature in holding a dream or something you're putting yourself into and nurturing it to fruition. And the houses that I see being tied together by these outer planets, so for you, for the next 8 years until 2032, 2033, are the spiritual house, the house of God, and publishing, putting your message out there, and it being probably spiritual or esoteric in nature. And then the 11th of audience of groups of like-minded people, of sort of finding your place in the world and the people who love and support your work. And then the first house of you. And I think this is really beautiful, Lainey, because I feel like this is exactly what you're doing right
Right. I
now.
know. Wow. This is so
So
good.
I hope that's an example sort
Yeah.
of how, if your listeners know where Aries is in their chart,
Mhm.
and where Gemini is and where Aquarius is, they can think about this for themselves, and think about the house topics covered if they're familiar with that. If they're not, I would say, book an astrology reading.
Definitely.
With
Yeah.
me or another astrologer. But if you know the house topics, you can sort of put the pieces together.
Hmm.
So I think, that implies you're right on time,
I
as
know.
as we
So
all usually are.
good. Wow. This totally blew my expectations. I wasn't expecting this, a pleasant surprise, but I know that in talking with you in our conversations, I had mentioned like I feel some shifts and I just want to make sure that like I'm on
Mhm.
top of the alignment and things like that. But this shows me, yes, you are. Um,
Yes.
so that feels so good right now to me to know that the things that I'm working on putting together, that the structure is already there and I just have to build upon it. Um, Gosh, I have goosebumps. That was so good. I love that. I love that. Um, so
I'm
you would
glad.
recommend people to get your chart done and get someone to look at that because it really does help in terms of you trying to map out what you want to do in your life and what kinds of things you need in order to do those things.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of timing techniques that I use regularly in readings that we're not even going to touch on today.
Hmm.
So there's a whole toolbox. This is transits is only one technique, really, and then I usually integrate it with several timing techniques. So it can be very useful, especially in a time like right now there's these huge shifts going on.
Yeah.
Um, these outer planets, like I said, Pluto spends about 20 years in a sign. Neptune spends about 14, I think, and Uranus about 7. So for them all to change signs within the span of like a year and a half or so, is really exceptional. Is really exceptional. These are exceptional times that we're living in. And while we might see a lot of things, showing up chaotically in the world around us, that doesn't mean that we can't use these energies constructively ourselves and that they can't really show up, in a beneficial way in our own personal lives. If you think
Yeah.
about it, that happens all the time, where
Yeah.
there's global crises, but you personally are doing really well and vice versa, right?
Yeah. Funny how that
So,
works.
mhm. So yeah, so I encourage everybody to look at their own chart, get it read if they're interested in astrology, if it appeals to them, because it really, I think that's the beauty of astrology, is using it to time your moves, and to know, because now Lainey, like in the fall and the winter, if you pull back from some of this work that you're doing right now because you say you have to focus on something else, or you just find yourself wanting to focus on something else, that you may be, internally reviewing and processing, and tweaking, and that's okay. Like, again, you're right on time. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It means you're going to go back out in the spring,
Yeah.
um, or that something else is going to shift in the spring. There's some wrapping up to do this fall on some other things.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of astrology, I think. And
Yeah.
I think what you just experienced is that it can really help you feel, it allows you to feel really seen. Say,
Yeah.
like, yes, I've been feeling this way and I can see it. And it can be really confirming and
Yes.
affirming.
Yes.
Yeah.
definitely. So you know I'm going to be linking up with you to talk further. And I suggest that everyone,
Absolutely.
do the same. And of course, Arin's information will be in the description of the video. Please check out her website and other services that she offers. She has promised that she will come back. Look, and now I'm putting you on the
Absolutely.
spot. She's promised to come back and share with us some other services that she provides, but we're not done yet. So she's not finished sharing. So I'm still excited about what she brings to us today. But this was right on time.
Yeah.
Right on time. Love it.
Yeah. Well,
Love it.
excellent. I'm glad that it, resonated for you.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we should talk about crystals for you, Lainey. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll recommend a few, and then I want to hear from you, like
Yeah.
sort of which are, I mean, I know it's hard to pick favorites, but
It
like
is.
which are your go-tos or, your old reliables.
Yeah.
When I look, I'm just gonna take it back down to just your chart. When I look at your chart, you have a lot of pronounced fire and air because you have so many planets here in Sagittarius, and then the moon is quite important in your chart up here at the midheaven in this air sign. You have Mars in Leo. It's quite a lot of fire and air, and I would suggest to you that you make sure that you remain grounded.
Mhm.
And especially with Uranus going through your first house, Uranus can be very electric and shocking and sudden and volatile. And in an air sign like Gemini, I think we're already feeling it. I am anyway, where it's just like so much going on. And I think we're going to see it expressed through technology and communication. You are a natural communicator as a Gemini rising. But I do think that Uranus can be quite volatile and potentially upsetting to the nervous system.
Yeah.
And so I would expect it's possible that during Uranus's trek through Gemini, that you may be especially susceptible to feeling ungrounded or spun out or like nervous and shaky or anything like that. So that's sort of where I'm leaning when I'm thinking about crystals for you.
Mhm.
So really anything that would ground you. Some of my favorites for grounding are black tourmaline. I
Yeah.
love black tourmaline. Jet is really nice also.
Yeah.
Smoky quartz. I love
Okay.
me some smoky quartz. So these are all what I would think of as Saturnine crystals or ruled by Saturn, which is
Mhm.
quite grounding. And you have Saturn here in Virgo in the
Mhm.
fourth, which is an earth sign. So I think that maybe sort of leaning into that earthiness at your root can keep you grounded sort of um, in yourself, in your own being, and in your own body. During this time where Gemini is going to be making the energy around you, I think, feel really volatile.
Mhm.
As Uranus also opposes your houses in the seventh house, you may have other people like sort of bringing that energy towards you. So just making sure that you have, a good sort of protective barrier. And right now, for everybody, honestly, I think a lot of these protective and grounding stones are the best options because we do have so many planets in fire
Yeah.
and air. And I think one of the things that Saturn, Neptune, is depending what it's asking from you and sort of from your life. It depends on where it is in each of our charts. But I think sort of universally across the board, one thing that it's asking from all of us is to reassess our boundaries.
Yeah.
Because Saturn is, he rules structure and walls, and boundaries of all sorts. He is the outermost planet that we can see with the naked eye. So ancient astrologers saw him as ruling, being the boundary lord sort of between the known and unknown.
Mhm.
So he is the ruler of boundaries. Neptune, on the other hand, god of the ocean, right? Neptune
Mhm.
reminds us that it's separateness that is the illusion, that truly we are all one, right?
Mhm.
So Neptune is a great dissolver, and Saturn is our structures. And we can see this happening in the world around us, old structures being dissolved. But personally, I think one of the most constructive ways we can use this is by reviewing our boundaries and saying, are they too rigid? Do they need a little Neptune to dissolve?
Mhm.
Or, are my boundaries full of holes and I need to shore them up with a bit of
Yeah.
help from Saturn? Um, so I think especially for you, um, I would just make sure that you do have those healthy boundaries, because there could just be a lot of frenetic energy coming towards you,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Uranus transiting your first.
Yes. I totally agree with everything that you said about grounding. And before all of this, I always found myself being very attracted to stones that are grounding. Like I have so many, and now it makes sense because you need it. And that's another thing that I love about the relationship that we have with crystals, because it's a two-way street. They kind of draw you based on what you need, you know? Um, so I loved your suggestions. I also love black tourmaline so much. It's so delicious in terms of just connecting you to that earth energy. So I love that. And I have that. So I'm good with that. I have jet too. But I think that in terms of black stones, black tourmaline has been my go-to. But I'm gonna explore. I'm gonna expand and work more with some of my jet pieces, because I do also feel very grounded with them as well. And smoky quartz is another favorite. It's just so earthy, like, but it's earthy in a different way from black tourmaline, but still just as grounding. And so I really love that one as well. And so I find myself working with that as a lot as well. Um, and another one that we talked about, not on this episode, but we talked in our chatting, is aragonite. It's such a grounding. Oh, and I love it so much. The last episode, I did a little piece on it because it's so good. It's like my nutty groundedness, and I love it because I
Oh,
work with it.
nutty. I like that. I like
Yeah,
that
because
word for it.
right,
Yeah.
because
It
the
has that
polished ones,
earthiness.
yeah, it looks really nutty. So I love that. And I also like hematite is very grounding for me as well. Um, and then it even calms your blood, with the iron component to it. So right on with that. I love that. And I'm definitely going to dedicate more time with those crystals, because I definitely see how that can benefit me every day, but then also with all of these transitions externally and internally. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, I could probably stop sharing. I would just say, yeah, watch for that.
Hmm.
Or watch for feeling that way, for feeling,
Yeah.
ungrounded. And then, you have allies to turn to. And
Yeah.
for everybody, truly, I think that these are times where a lot of us are going to have times where we feel ungrounded or spun out. And I think that those are all excellent crystal
Yeah.
allies to turn to. I do notice, like, with these crystals, I want to ask you,
Hmm.
Lainey, how you cleanse your crystals, because I do notice with these like dark Saturnine crystals, they will absorb negative energy, which is great to get it
Uh-huh.
off you. But then
Yeah.
how do you cleanse them to make sure
Yeah.
that they are in their best state?
One of the things that I've recently started doing, and I hadn't done it before, was to use dirt, like soil, and actually bury them in that
Hmm.
soil for a little bit and let them get back to like their roots, I guess.
Hmm.
um, so I'm finding that very good, a good way of clearing that energy, because they do eat up so much negativity for us. But my go-to is just to have like a selenite plate, where I can just lay them on there forever until I need them. Look, that's where you would find them, just getting that energy and clearing. And, you know, I pick them up from that and use them and put them right back on that selenite plate. So I love that. And you can use selenite to clear most crystals. So yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. Yeah. Wow,
Thank you.
this is such good stuff, man. Oh, wow. Good stuff, good stuff. Um, so I was wondering too about I don't know what else you have to share, but my mind just goes and goes and goes. When you were talking about the time period now, where we're like with the transits, we're in a space where we kind of have to negotiate and get a fresh understanding. I think, is that what you're talking about from the Aquarius full moon?
Yeah, I think that that's sort of what I see with the Aquarius full moon. The new moon before that, so the end of July, which will be in the
Mhm.
past by the time your listeners listen to this, but the new moon is really the seed planting time, and then the full moon is where we sort of see things come to fruition, come to
Mhm.
crisis point, even
Yeah,
where a thing either has to come to fruition or it's not going to, sort of thing,
yeah,
is what I mean by
yeah,
crisis point. So not always negative, but
yeah.
it's sort of like a decision point. So the full moon that precedes, or the new moon, sorry, that precedes this full moon, is in early Leo, and it's directly opposite Pluto.
Okay.
And it does imply that seed planting, that there is a bit of a power struggle
Mhm.
happening, I think, with that seed planting.
Yeah.
And so the full moon to me, especially with Mercury stationing direct, Venus conjoining Jupiter, it really sort of implies some clarity and sweetness. So I
Hmm.
think there's an opportunity. It may feel at the end of July
Yeah.
like there's an impasse.
Yeah.
And there may appear to be, and may factually be, a great imbalance in power in a situation.
Hmm.
But I would encourage everybody, I think, not to lose hope, because I think that full moon, there are signals there that there's possibilities for negotiation. There's
Yeah.
wiggle room,
Yeah. I
right?
love that. I love that. So we can keep that in mind, but also because when you're talking about that, it kind of signifies the stages of growth. You're talking about seedlings, but it's not always easy. There is that struggle, that friction, but that also brings about the change and the growth that's needed. And so I was thinking that like we probably need so much patience during this time, just to not give up, like you said, and have hope that things are going to work themselves out. Just continue doing it and it will work itself out. So I was thinking also those grounding crystals would probably be good for us during this time too, to just be patient and take away some of that frustration and aggravation we may feel, so that we can just stick to it and do those things we need to do to bring about those changes or the evolution that we need. Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think, yes, patience, boundaries, like we've talked
Boundaries.
about. If there is a power struggle, making sure you have healthy boundaries and you are protecting yourself. So yeah, all of those crystals that we talked about, I think,
Yeah.
are going to be excellent. Um, yeah, excellent for that time.
I'm sure that you all are having a good time too with them. And I so want to thank Arin for coming on today, and sharing with us what to expect. What can we expect coming up, as far as our astrological landscape, and what kinds of things we can do to keep ourselves grounded and protected. So thank you so much. As I said before, her information is going to be in the description of this video. Please check her out, um, hire her to read your chart. I am definitely setting up another time. I loved you guys as an audience, but me and her one-on-one time to discuss my chart. And I would advise you guys to do the same. I hope that you took notes about the different stone suggestions for the different signs, as well as what we could use during this time to keep us grounded and feeling safe and protected. Arin, do you have any last words or anything you want to share with us?
I just want to say thank you to you so much, Lainey, for
Mhm.
having me on. Thank you to your listeners for, hanging out with us today and talking about crystals. Like you said, I'd be happy to work with anyone. Check out my website for consultations. And I do write like a a blog every moon
Right.
cycle and
Yes.
mini horoscopes. Again, check out my website. But if you're interested in horoscopes, those are always free. So
Yes. And
yeah,
she gives the crystal suggestions on her blog as well, right?
I do. I recommend,
Yay.
yeah, a crystal friend for every new and full moon, as well as an herbal friend for every new and
Wonderful.
full moon for anybody who's into that. Yeah.
Wonderful. We'll definitely check that out. Thank you, Arin, for tuning in. For coming on today. And I want to thank you all for tuning in today with our very, very exciting chat with Arin about astrology and our upcoming forecast. And I want to remind you to subscribe to Awakening Airwaves so you can catch all of our videos, all of our interviews, all of our tips, all of our everything. Thank you for tuning in to Reiki Reflections. Reiki Rocks. I'm so excited still. Reiki Rocks and Reflections. I am your host, Lainey Wu, and I will see you next time. Peace.